Welcome to another edition of the QU Athletics Podcast. I'm here with a second-year head coach, Eric Ruppel, and also bringing a couple of your players along, Jared Fournier, Auburn, Washington native, and Nick Woodworth from Schaumburg, Illinois. I appreciate you guys coming on, and you finally got to get back on the field last week for a scrimmage. How did it feel? And this can be a free-flowing conversation anybody can answer, to finally get back on the field in a game setting, competing against your teammates.
Definitely. It felt really nice to get out there and, kind of have that game setting. We threw on our jerseys. That was really nice. Just kind of, get that competitive edge. Coaches were reffing it really, realistic, so we got that real feel.
Realistic to St. Louis reffing.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I see that the reason that the question was there is because you had the long layoff. You didn't get to experience a full season last year. I say second-year head coach, and I say, but you only got to play 5 games last season. It felt like not even half a season, and so you're such a young team. How is the team dynamic in trying to build a program in the first year, and you got a lot of players who have 4 years of eligibility left, like you guys mentioned, most of your team?
I think we're all still kind of learning on the fly. Everyone's so young, we're still kind of getting adjusted to college lacrosse because we haven't even played a full season yet. So there's still definitely a learning curve up ahead for us, but I think we're all adjusting to it well.
Definitely. I think, just the team energy coming back, like you said, we only played 5 games. We got our season cut short. That came back. This will help us with the learning curve of, that motivation of, being snubbed of a season. The boys came back and the freshmen came ready to work. Everyone wanted to work right away. We wanted to start practice right away.
For sure. And for you, Coach, being in your second year and having dealt with a year with COVID-19 last season and feeling the effects this year, what did you learn from that experience going through that tough time with your program and still trying to lead your team through this time right now?
Oh, well, Coach McCrudden and I joked that this is actually year 1.5. So there were a lot of things that we tried to do early on that maybe just physically or age-wise they weren't ready for. And so the beginning of this season, we kind of toned it back and focused on just a few little things at once. And they absolutely blossomed because of that. So year one, we had, even as coaches, we had the jitters of, we got to get them ready to play immediately. And this year we're a little bit more cautious in our approach, and it's absolutely paying off.
Yeah, and I know that it's fun when you guys got to get back out there. I know that you guys were talking about it was kind of a low-scoring affair, more so in a lacrosse game. But what were your takeaways? What did you like from the scrimmage? I know you talked about just being so excited to be back out there, but what was your takeaways, some positives you saw just from your team in general and the way you were able to play?
I think if we're just kind of comparing it to the 5 games we played last year, you can tell everyone's already learned so much. The ball movement, communication on defense, offense and defensive-wise, you can tell everyone's lacrosse IQ is getting higher, and we're all just starting to get, a flow for the game, and I think it's looking so much better than last year already.
Yeah, definitely. The game just was, everything was coming together. All the stuff that we've been learning all fall ball, it's just starting to come together, and, it's kind of nice to, be on our own, because our coaches, they more reffed. It was me and Jared that were, kind of commanding our teams, and we had to figure out when we're going to call timeouts, what we're going to run offensively, defensively, and all that. And that really just showed, like he said, everyone's lacrosse IQ, because everyone was all right, let's run this, let's run that, giving different ideas. Or after every quarter, we'd come in and we'd be like, what are you guys seeing out there? Let's do some adjustments, and it worked.
Yeah, and with you two being team captains, trying to lead a program, and Coach starting a program, you have a blank canvas, and you're able to cultivate and create a program. And I know I talked with you before about being from Washington and making the decision to come a far ways to Quincy. What kind of played a role into that decision-making process, and how did you ultimately end up coming to this program with its birth in its first year?
Well, if I'm being honest, before here I was committed to another school, and then they ended up having financial troubles, and then Ruppel was actually recruiting another one of my best friends from home, and as soon as I decommitted, he had nothing but good things to say about Ruppel, so I texted him instantly sent him my highlight tape and then started talking to him, like what he had to say. So I decided to come here.
Yeah, that's an awesome story because I know that you guys have a lot of players that are able to come with that feeling that we're able to build something here. We're able to develop something here because starting a program, a coach and players alike know that that comes with struggles because you have to build your firm foundation to have a program, have something last for years and years and years and decades.
Oh, absolutely. So year one, our focus was just to get our name out there. Just no one in the lacrosse world knew where Quincy University was. There were 5 other Division II teams starting at the same time. So not only do we have to recruit from a small talent pool, but the kids that we're eyeing, 4 other schools were also eyeing. And so it became absolute, where can we get a kid from and where are the kids most likely to come? So you notice lacrosse is a very East Coast sport. We have no one from the Eastern time zone on our team. We chalked that up as a loss. We said we'll get there in a few years if we can. We're going to look local in the Midwest, and then me being from the West Coast, I immediately went out to I-5 and just went up and down California, Oregon, Washington. And that part paid off. I knew that the West Coast was under-recruited. We would probably get a plethora of kids from there with some quality talent that just maybe didn't get in front of the right recruiters at the right time, and then Midwestern kids who probably knew where Quincy University was.
Yeah, and I know that being able to put a team on the map obviously falls a lot on the head coach, but also the leaders on the team with you two. And you two play different positions as well. So do you kind of take your own position group under your wing, kind of trying to lead it? Or I don't know typically how the dynamic of team chemistry works within lacrosse, but I know that, say, the offense here and the defense here, like working together in a common unit, because in scrimmages, take any sport, if it's a blowout or if it's super high scoring, you say, my defense wasn't good. If it's super low scoring, you say, man, that's what we've experienced on campus, just scrimmages. But I was wondering in particular, with your certain position groups, how you've tried to specifically lead those who also play your position.
I think it's a good mixture. Kind of at the beginning of practice and after, just like off the field, like we just try and lead everyone. We have like a set of standards that we're trying to set, like this is how we do things. And then kind of more during practice, I'd say I definitely focus more on the defense just because that's what I'm better at. That's what I know more about. And then Nick will mostly just take over the offense.
That's definitely what we do. Like, and when we do like sixes and more, offense, defense things, and we're split up, like he definitely is in charge of like the defense and like the player wise. And he works with Coach McCrudden on like, thinking of different things for the defense. And like me and Rupel will do stuff like that for the offense. But like, after sixes, like it's definitely a collective effort among all of our teammates.
I like that, the collective effort you mentioned. And also, we were talking about it, this podcast earlier this week with Colin and Edward and Brendan. And one of the questions they were saying when you prepare and you get a question was asking about your pregame rituals. And I was curious because traditions and things you want to build, are there things like that? I know you say the set of ways we want to do things, like a pregame ritual or like something else that is unique to Quincy lacrosse that you're trying to cultivate with your team now and just for the years to come.
So I think that right now we're kind of just setting standards of like, when we want to be at practice, stuff like that. And like, I think the pregame rituals will come. The one thing we have right now is like Rupel started it last year was the player of the week, the champion of the week. So we have a nice belt. It's yellow, flashy, everything. And at the end of the week, coaches decide to have a conversation of who killed it at practice this week, and then they get that. So that's something that we have. We definitely need to build on. We can definitely build on like pregame rituals. Sometimes maybe we have team meals or something like that. But that's going to come along with games and stuff like that.
I think last year when we were out in hotels, they really enjoyed the free tea.
Yes, absolutely.
The free tea?
Yeah, we'd have like tea time in the lobbies with our coaches. Yeah, that was fun.
That's nice on the road, and I know that's something exciting when we talk about hitting the road. You go to other GLVC schools, but the GLVC, if I'm not mistaken, is going to look a little different this year. Is that correct, Coach?
So we lost 4 of our affiliate members: Alabama Montevallo, Alabama Huntsville, Young Harris College, and Lander. They were Peach Belt schools, and the Peach Belt elected to host lacrosse in 2021, and I think are immediately regretting that decision. So we are now a 7-team conference with one affiliate member, that being Davenport out of Grand Rapids. The other 6 are GLVC institutions. And as of yesterday, we are conference only for 2021 in a double round robin format. So we're going to see everybody twice and get to know each other real quick.
Yeah, and that's a good introduction, you could say, into the conference, say, really experiencing this from an eligibility standpoint as your first year. You really get to see it's a good measuring stick with the schedule, because that's not typically how it would be, if I'm not mistaken, because a lot of the GLVC for across the sports are just allowing the conference play because of COVID-19. And I know that has obviously been a struggle coming with your first year, but also it gives you more time to prepare and to get better at your craft, because you guys are the leaders trying to build something special here.
Absolutely. I'm being honest, like, I'm just happy if anything. Like, whoever they give us to play, like, I'm going to go out and do it. I just want to be able to play lacrosse. So the fact that we can play in conference, like, that's good and bad, because we're going to have film against everyone. We're going to know what they're going to do, but they're going to also know what we're going to do. So we're going to see real quick how we match up with everyone.
So yeah, obviously it's like it'd be nice to play out of conference, but I think we have a really solid conference, so that's nice that we're gonna have some good competition, and like it's gonna really test us and give us that foundation of being a second year team.
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5, or his coach says.
But what excites you most about year 1.5, about year 2 of this program? What excites you most, Coach, for 2021 and what it's going to bring?
I've got age on my team now, which is huge. You know, we've got some sophomores who have just grinded. And although we only got 5 games into the season, we still had just about 8 months worth of lacrosse. Mm-hmm. So aside from the last, 9 games, we know what to do. So they came to practice day one knowing what to do, knowing the drills, knowing the system, knowing all that. And so now everything is progressing towards a better flow. And so now we can focus on the little things. We can focus on, their approaching and their footwork and their shooting mechanics. That we can focus on the little things, whereas last year it was just, this is one giant concept that we have to throw at you. The ball moves faster in college. You're going to get hit harder in college. That ball doesn't stay on the ground very often in college. And they had to get used to that part. Well, now they're used to that part. Our first Division II game ever was against a top 20 team last year, which, my fault or not, we had a very good strength of schedule. Now they're ready for it. They saw what it takes to be the top competition, and then they got 6 months to just sit on that. Sit on, okay, this is what we did wrong here. This is what we did here. This is what we need to do next time. And you can absolutely see it. So now practice is extremely fun, and we get to try some new things and really get creative with the process because they know the foundation.
Yeah, with you two knowing the foundation, wanted to pose that question to you as well. Just what is most exciting about 2021, about this coming season for you two?
I think just personally for me, like for myself and overall as a team, like we just know so much more than we did last year. We just know more overall about lacrosse, like Rupel said, how the game works and just how different plays need to be run, how we need to run our defense. I just feel like I have so much more knowledge of the game like in the past year. And then also just having 5 games last year, I have film that I can break down on myself, see what I did wrong, what I did right, and be able to build off of there. And then also for our whole defense as a whole, we can kind of look at the film, nitpick what we did last year, kind of tighten everything up, and then be ready for the actual season.
So I think the thing I'm most excited for is the guys we have. It's just like the energy is just, it's really different. Everyone's like really upset that we weren't able to play, and like, this plays into like the freshmen we have coming in because they were snubbed of their senior season. And I know my senior season in high school was very important to me, and that gave them that drive to come in here and work really hard. Like Rupel said, that our and practices are super intense, and that plays into the fact that we want to prove ourselves and play lacrosse.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about that hunger because you had something take it away. I've seen that hunger just across a lot of sports teams. They talk about, man, I can't wait to get back out there. I can't wait, so they continue to work hard. But also other coaches, and I know you kind of mentioned it with the intensity, they've talked about the competition level at practice has really heightened as well because of the fact that starting spots are, I mean, and a lot of sports that are moved as well, you don't really know. You got a lot of time till the season, so the separation is really through this time that they can prepare. Have you guys felt that dynamic, a very competitive environment within? I know we got to see it at the scrimmage, but just overall within the team atmosphere?
Absolutely. Everyone's super hungry. Everyone's competing because we all love the sport so much. We want to be able to get on the field as much as we can and play the game that we love. So everyone's competing in every single drill, even warm-ups sometimes, just to be able to get that playing time on the field because we know what it's like to get it taken away from us now. We know how long we're going to be able to play. So we always want to give it 110% and just be ready for anything.
Yeah, being ready for anything's been something that everybody's had to do this year, and it feels like with COVID-19 changing so many things, has that thrown this program any particular curveballs this year, forcing you to adapt? I know a lot of teams have had struggles with doing that, and just knowing how have you guys been able to adapt to that, because it is something that's really difficult, obviously, to control, not just across the world, but also just as a team trying to also focus on being competitive and playing a season.
We've been pretty fortunate that, the matching masks say it all. We've been pretty fortunate that we've kind of stayed out of the gulag, if you will, the majority of the season with only a couple kids going in. From my perspective, probably not so much theirs. There's so much more on the managerial side because the CDC keeps changing guidelines, and then the health department tells us what to do. And then so, week to week, who knows what we can do. There was 2 weeks where it was recommended that we don't do in-tight drills, so we improvised there. Lacrosse is pretty fortunate of a sport similar to soccer. We're not all hitting each other constantly. So it's perceived that way, but really you could be on the field at the same time as another guy and never even cross paths with them. So ours hasn't been as vicious as the footballs and the basketballs because we're just not as in contact. We're still spread out. We're outdoors. We're masking well and so on and so forth. So there's been a little bit of a juggle on my end. I do my best to kind of hide it from them and do what we can. If we absolutely have to, like there's a drill we absolutely love to do during warm-ups. We had to cut that short for about 2 weeks and then cut it again. But from a managerial standpoint, absolutely. From an athlete standpoint, I wouldn't. I don't know. They're going to answer that.
Yeah, because you two, obviously, you have your competition. You have your teammates. Also, you have other teams that you want to outwork and prepare. But it seems like this virus has been something everybody's had to compete with as well. Have you guys felt the effects of that too?
Absolutely. We've had a few people that have been thrown in quarantine, so obviously just not having as many people at practice as we usually would and just wearing masks in the weight room. Like there's little things that definitely affect us, but I feel like compared to other teams in the nation, it hasn't affected us like nearly as bad.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you were saying, our team has just been very fortunate that we've kind of kept close to each other, so we haven't really been getting thrown in quarantine as much. And when we do, we only have 2-3 guys go down, and that hurts us, but we're still able to practice pretty competitively. We lose a guy here, so someone's got to stay on the field a little longer, so they're a little tired, but it works out.
For sure. I know that it works out, and also it's something that has been difficult for a lot of programs, but it's great that you guys have been able to put one foot in front of the other and deal with this as you've adapted to it, but it seems like it's been going well for you guys, and that's great to hear. I wanted to kind of transition, and specifically coming with lacrosse, for your team and just people and fans on campus in general. When you introduce a new sport, I know your play on the field obviously will build your fandom of the team, but has there been other things or maybe struggles, things that have been difficult, or things you want to implement to get more support? Because I know we all support you guys so much, but with the community trying to build something from the ground up, I know the fans play a big role in that as a program who's just starting out.
I'm going to need a T-shirt cannon the minute we can have fans.
Yeah, I think.
What's on the T-shirt?
Quincy Lacrosse.
I didn't know. It's something unique.
Rep the brand.
I didn't know.
So the community itself has been very, very open and welcome to us, mainly because Quincy, Illinois doesn't have lacrosse at the high school or youth levels yet. But the surrounding areas do. Springfield's had it for about 10 years now. St. Louis has had it for almost 30. Chicago's had it for 30 or 40 years at this point. So everyone from Quincy knows someone. You know, oh, my niece or my nephew plays, or oh, my brother played here, or whatever have you. So they're familiar with the sport enough to know that it's not field hockey, but they don't quite grasp it. So we noticed that a couple times last year. We would open the gates for practice, and the townsfolk on their nightly walks would walk into the stadium and watch for 10 minutes. And then we had a couple games at home where just random people not affiliated with the university or them would come in and watch. We're trying to get our name out there a little bit more in the community. COVID is going to be the huge hindrance there with the likelihood that we are not going to have fans. But we're doing everything we can to help the community and let them know of this new sport. And we've generated a ton of interest. We just generated a ton of interest at the exact worst time in the world. So the community's been great. They're fantastic, and they're very hyped to see lacrosse and more of lacrosse. And hopefully they'll start watching some more games once they can. From my perspective, at least, they're very welcoming, even though they don't quite understand it. Usually when I'm in one of those hoodies at Walmart, I usually get stopped and, hey, that's that one sport. Absolutely, it is that one sport. So we're real close.
Wow.
Oh, I watched it on NBC this summer. Yeah, you did, in the Olympic spot. It was great. So they're working on it. But again, like, we couldn't prevent what's going on in the world, and so I think we're going to have to wait a year to really push out the community effort.
Yeah, you make a good point about some people not fully understanding it, because I feel like a lot of people may not understand lacrosse. A lot of people may not understand certain sports, but when you can understand something, you can enjoy it more, it feels like. So getting people to understand it, I guess, is something, a gap that we could try to bridge, and obviously the programming community with the support there. But I also just appreciate each of you guys coming on this program today, able to talk lacrosse and able to talk about the times that we're in as we hear that phrase. And I know that it's tough, but you guys have been able to, make a lot of sacrifices to still compete in the game that you love. Building this program, it's really cool to see. So I appreciate you guys coming on this morning and just being able to talk it up about lacrosse and try to give your program some love, some coverage, and also just we're watching you guys closely. And I wish you guys the best of luck here as you guys prepare this coming season in 2021 to compete in the Great Lakes Valley Conference. So appreciate you guys coming on, and we'll take care, and hopefully we can do this again soon, maybe next semester. So thank you very much.